Brilliant. Let us know when it's started. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. And welcome those online to this evening's meeting of South Oxfordshire's Cabinet. Deirdre Lane, and I'm going to be chairing. And would you like to start, Becky, by taking a roll call?
Yes, of course. I'll do it in alphabetical order. If members can please confirm if they are present in the meeting room or present online. So I'll start with Councillor Peter Paul Barker.
Present online.
Thank you. Councillor Maggie Filipova-Rivers.
Present and in the room.
Thank you. Councillor Georgina Heritage.
Present online.
Thank you. Councillor Sam James Laurie.
Present online.
Thank you. Councillor Lee Rawlings.
Present in the room.
Thank you. Councillor David Owain.
Present in the room.
Thank you. Councillor Anne-Marie Simpson.
Is on holiday.
Is on holiday. Brilliant. So I've got apologies from Councillor Simpson and Councillor Tony Morgan.
Present in the room.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. I skipped over Chair's announcements. I think everybody here has been here many times, so knows what the emergency exit procedures are. So I won't go through those. Item 3 is minutes of the last meeting. Is everyone happy that I sign these as a correct record? Yes. Yeah. Good. Item 4 is declarations of interest. Does anyone have any declarations of disclosable of pecuniary interest, other registrable interest or non-registrable interest, or any conflicts of interest in respect of items on the agenda for this meeting? I think Councillor Morgan and I probably both want to mention that we're members of the Didcot Town Council, which is mentioned occasionally in the paper that yes, we're partners on that. But we don't get paid for doing that. Not a lot of pecuniary interest. Item 5 is urgent business. I don't have any. Looking around to see if anybody is jumping in with any other. No.
None from me.
Item 6, public participation. Do we have anyone who has registered to speak?
Thank you, Chair. No public participation.
Thank you. Item 7, recommendation and updates from other committees. And I refer you to page 9 of your pack, where there are the recommendations from Joint Scrutiny Committee, which looked at the item that we're about to discuss next. So I think we'll deal with it at that point. I assume that everyone has read those and or attended the meeting. Scrutiny. So we'll move straight on to the main business, which is item 8, Didcot Garden Town Programme Update and Review. Councillor Morgan, do you want to introduce us like that?
Yes, certainly. So in 2015, Didcot was one of the first towns in the country to be awarded Garden Town status by the government, with a view to supporting the sustainable delivery of 15,000 new homes and 20,000 new jobs in the heart of Science Vale. Didcot has grown sustainably since 2015, and the master plan approved in 2017 sets out the Didcot Garden Town principles. This informs a long-term programme of sustainability projects that, with input from the Garden Town team, is reflecting in emerging joint local plan policies. The team, in partnership with other authorities and organisations, oversees the programme, which was amended with Cabinet approval in June 2022, and over the last 10 years has moved from the preparation of strategies towards design and delivery on the ground. Governance of Didcot Garden Town is via an advisory board that comprises members from all 3 tiers of local authority, local organisation, and meets quarterly in public to comment, endorse and advise on progressing the programme, and indeed did so this week on Monday. Longer term infrastructure projects are critical to Didcot's ongoing development, and the programme includes partnership working with Oxfordshire County Council on major highways infrastructure projects and collaborating with Didcot Town Council on art and green infrastructure projects. When the advisory board was focused on analysis and strategy preparation, it was at that time informed by 3 sounding boards, 1 for residents, 1 for businesses, and 1 for the 5 parishes in the master plan area, as set out in the terms of reference, in the previous terms of reference. This report seeks approval for amending those advisory board terms of reference. This was endorsed by advisory board in March, on 17th March 2025. The existing terms of reference are in Appendix 1 and amended terms in Appendix 2. There is a paper which tracks the changes. The changes are that we, instead of having the sounded boards, we will have 6 monthly community update meetings, which is right for the delivery phase. And the first of these have been arranged for the 18th of September this year. The report asks Cabinet to note the data collection in Appendix 3, the Didcot Community Insight Profile, and to approve Appendix 4 of the Healthy Didcot Action Plan, based on it, led by a community-based multi-agency steering group that includes the Didcot Garden Town team. One thing I'd like to highlight at this point is that this is actually already being used by community organisations as a basis for funding commitments to other bodies. So it's already being really, really useful for organisations working in and around Didcot. The action plan is a live document, and this report seeks delegated authority for the head of communities to amend the action plan as it evolves. This report also seeks Cabinet approval for Appendix 5, the new draft Didcot Garden Town programme. This has evolved from the programme which was approved by Cabinets in June 2022. And in response to comments from joint scrutiny, I'd like to add the following. So as a result of the feedback from the Joint Scrutiny Committee, we are going to review the programme document with a view to better identifying the milestones, responsibilities and timeframes for each project. We'll use this information to inform the public at the Didcot Garden Town community event on the 18th of September, and further to feedback from the attendees at that event, we'll circulate an updated plan to members of Joint Scrutiny by the end of September. And we hope that's acceptable. Appendix 6 is for information only, and it fills out some detail on jobs, on homes, local spaces and localism, which are significant factors in understanding the purposes of the Garden Town designation. So the four points are the amended terms of reference, the community insight profile, the Healthy Didcot Action Plan, and programme progress. Thank you.
Okay, and notice we've got quite a few officers online. So would any of the officers from the Garden Town team want to add to what's been said? Silence as a no. Does anyone have questions for Councillor Morgan before we move on to debate?
Just a small one. The insight data is produced where? Is that within SODC or county or?
It's county, I think.
I think it's okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I've seen some of that stuff before.
I'm sure someone will jump in to correct me, but my assumption is that it's county. I can see Nicola.
Evening, yeah, no, just for clarification, it takes the form of the template that Public Health Act, County Council have been sort of rolling out across the county, but we've done it in partnership with County Council to sort of forward fund Didcot as it wasn't a priority amongst the 10 most deprived areas in Oxfordshire.
Thank you. Well done on fielding the cat. Any other questions? Oh, Peter Paul?
Yeah, I've got a question on the recommendations from joint scrutiny, if that's appropriate. I appreciate might be nobody here who can answer it. But one of the third bullet talks about the joint scrutiny asking how these plans, i.e. the Didcot Garden Town plans, I suppose, can result in public ownership. I just wondered what they were referring to.
I think this may have come from Councillor Barlow, and I guess I think so.
Yeah. So I think the answer to that is now that we're moving into a different phase of the programme, and we've got the community meetings on a 6 monthly basis, that hopefully the community actually feels a sense of ownership by actually there. So those meetings are intended to be a cross section of the community, open to all the organisations involved to come in, and hopefully that process will enable them to feel that sense of ownership.
It's a sense of ownership rather than ownership of physical assets that you're referring to.
Oh, I see.
I had to look twice at that. Maggie.
I do also reminded that in many ways, because of the sounding boards that preceded and inputted or co-produced, really, that is where I think the sense of ownership comes from, is the fact that, you know, these plans weren't just kind of council officers and members sitting down and putting something together. They were very much co-produced with the input from local community residents, businesses. And what was the third sounding board?
Businesses,
residents,
residents, and
towns and parishes.
Towns and parishes, yeah.
One of the things is that we hope by being able to be a bit more specific about dates where we're able to do so, because not everything is in the control of SODC, but where we're able to do so, actually hopefully that will give them a better sense of ownership, because people will see when things are expected to be delivered and be able to sort of think, right, that's coming, that's this year, that's next year, that's whenever it happens to be. And hopefully that creates that sense of community ownership.
We're still on questions. Does anyone have any further questions? If not, then I'll look for a seconder. Anyone like to open this? Was that a yes?
Yes, I'm happy to second. Yes.
Would you like to speak now, or?
I can speak now. I completely support the proposals that have been put forward. I think this is the right way of engagement and management of the Garden Town project, and I think that the changes that have been made are very appropriate.
Anyone else like to speak? You get to speak at the end.
We're into debate now.
We're into debate now. We have a proposer and seconder. I've got a few things to say, as you might imagine. I've been involved with this project for quite a while. There are a number of frustrations around working with Didcot Garden Town. One is the name, not the Didcot part of it, but the garden part of it, which is a Homes England template and title. I think if we were doing it now, we would name it a growth town rather than a garden town, because I think that more accurately describes what was intended. The other frustration is the fact that it's held responsible for, or the team is held responsible in a way for all of the partners and what they do, and there are a lot of partners involved, and certainly some of the big ticket items are responsibility of the county council, and so HIF1, which covers the first part of the action plan, and NPR3, they account for probably about 80 to 90% of the cash spent on this. That's a completely made up number, but it's not very far wrong. And so when people see how much the Garden Town, what the budget is for the Garden Town, they think, you know, what are we getting for this money? And what you're getting are two very substantial roads, but the nature of those things is that they take a very long time to deliver. And so that is one of the major frustrations, I think, that takes so long. One thing I'm very happy about is the change of emphasis. And in particular, we have some programs coming forward this year around wayfinding and around green infrastructure, which are about making the place nicer. And I quite often have conversations with people. Bear in mind that Didcot has grown so quickly that you have a lot of people there who didn't grow up there and don't know what facilities there are around, because you don't get an induction pack when you move into the town. You probably get one from your builder, but they has a different emphasis. So knowing that there's a Millennium Wood on the edge of the town that was planted by the town council, the facilities that go on at the library or the art centre, or the fact that the Orchard Centre is the major retail centre, but the Broadway is the centre for independent traders. All of that you don't really get as you arrive in town. So having wayfinding, and if you look at the proposal, is to have these large maps with points of interest and directions. Is I think going to be a significant improvement. The green infrastructure also. Didcot's actually a very green town. There are a lot of green areas, particularly around the new developments that have been designed with it. The bit that misses out is the bit of South Didcot, which is the old heart of the town, which grew up before this was part of the plan. So trying to integrate green infrastructure into those parts of the town is quite a thing. But also one of the recommendations here, which is about the Healthy Didcot report, and building a healthy community is not just about things, it's about lifestyle. And so there's a lot built into this Healthy Didcot report about healthy eating, about active lifestyles, about how you move around the town. The town is still, for all it's grown, small enough to be able to walk and cycle around. So having that as a major goal to get people to have more active and healthy lifestyles addresses quite a shocking statistics in the inside the port about the levels of obesity in particular parts of town. So that's why I think it's a much improved programme going forward. I very much applaud and grateful to Scrutiny for coming up with their proposals, particularly about putting dates on things, because when things slip, it can be frustrating. So at least having a date on there and knowing when something's going to be delivered, and if that changes, having it done transparently and people understanding why there are changes to the programme, all of which are improvements. I don't know if you mentioned, Councillor Morgan, the change to the membership of the advisory board as well, and that we have someone from Didcot First now joining the board, which is to try and integrate some of the major employers into as well. We're looking at how we integrate the smaller employers as well, who don't tend to be part of Didcot First, but that is also an improvement, I think. So I'll leave it at that. I'm happy to support this document. It is a big watch and it does have a lot of information in it, and particularly the insight report is worth a read. I'm looking at Maggie as she hasn't spoken yet. So if you want to speak.
Yeah, so I agree in terms of any action plan should have a kind of a minimum of three things that, in addition to a description of what we're doing, it should have an owner, which this document has, so the relevant organisation, institution, target dates for delivery, and measures of success. And that's another one that I think is missing. Now, some of the items on there are quite strategic, but nonetheless, I think it's still worth considering how do we measure success. Personally, By the way, I'm horrified to find that Oxley has been renamed to Enterprise Oxford.
Yeah.
Just Oxford. As a county councillor, I feel it should have been Oxfordshire, but that's one of those things.
Flex the headset.
But there's some actions that have been deemed not no longer feasible, and some of them are totally understandable, like co-working space that obviously has evolved and changed since it was probably put there first. But the one around apprenticeship skills and training, instead of duplicating other organizations' data collection, it is supposed to close this project and focus on implementation of other town projects. And I think, I don't know if you would like me to read it out, but this was around holding skills and apprenticeship fairs, etc. I think it is kind of a shame to see that go. Quite apart from the fact that it is something that is needed, I believe. I think it is a place where people can meet, where council staff, in this case now, can really outreach into the community and really be more present. It's I think a shame. Now, you may want to tell me that Enterprise Oxfordshire, Enterprise Oxford are hoping to do those anyways, in which case I think that's fine not to replicate it. But I think that's one that I'm quite sad to see not happening. And then there was, so there were a couple, I think three or four around, town and a town centre and retail strategy. Now, I know it's just another strategy, and as Councillor Wayne was saying, I think people want to see stuff and things rather than yet another strategy, which are quite expensive things to do, needed as they are in most cases. But I think, it seems like the employment piece, most of it is going, and I guess it's just a note that hopefully it will emerge somewhere else, and it's not. You can answer that when you're summing up.
If I may, I've spoken to the proposal, but I just had some observations on the scrutiny suggestions. Bullet point 3, it talks about the transfer of resources and powers back to residents, and we've discussed the meaning of ownership in inverted commas. But I think one of the things that's relevant here is that, of course, the Garden Town map and boundary is not the same as the parish and town boundaries. And therefore, when we talk about what might happen with projects going back into business as normal or whatever, that's got to be part of the consideration, that it's not a simple thing as to where that might land after the project has been ticked as delivered and done. We've mentioned point 4, the dates and the importance that they should have, and that's fine. I was a bit concerned. I support the idea that all of the deprived or whatever areas should be joined up with green spaces, but I think that what we're doing here is a planning thing, and that if we're able to do it, we want all of Didcot to be joined up with green spaces. So there's a nuance in there somewhere about exactly how we interpret that. David's explained that part of the evolution of Didcot means that there are some older areas where it's tougher to make changes because they're done, and of course we want people to be included, and we know that deprived areas may have a greater need for those green spaces because they don't have lots of nice big gardens or whatever else might be applicable. But it's just how we interpret that point that I thought was worth just nuancing a little bit. And as far as the final one, well, if projects are no longer projects, they are part of whatever happens normally. I think that's pretty obvious. I'm not sure what we can do about that. So it's just some observations, really.
But otherwise, the project could be clear.
Yeah, no, I mean, overall, it was very positive and it's good, and that's fine.
I see Peter Paul has got his hand up. Just to answer the specific about the green spaces, it was highlighting that there was a gap within South Didcot.
Okay, that's what it meant to get to. Okay.
And that's what the inside data said. Yeah, one of the councillors present did say that why are you spending money in Ladygrove which has already got lots of green space, when you should be spending it in the area that's been identified. But I think we disagreed that we needed to be looking everywhere. And anyway, I'll stop at that point. Councillor Barker.
Yes, thank you. Well, Google tells me that it was December 2015 when Didcot was awarded Garden Town status, so it will be 10 years quite soon. And so it is, easy to see why there's lots of cynicism about these things and how long it takes to deliver them, etc. But I think the fact is that it's an enormously ambitious programme which contains some really valuable things, and there is good progress. But unfortunately, these things do take a long time to deliver. As was mentioned, there's an enormous number of different stakeholders here, and it's never that easy to spend government money, given all the constraints that are put on how it's spent, etc. And yeah, in terms of the name, it's I don't know what the government had in mind exactly at the time, but clearly, the biggest projects in the list are the road ones, and that kind of conflicts with the idea of a garden town, doesn't it? But it's still absolutely the right ambition for Didcot, and indeed for other places in South Oxfordshire. And I think part of that thought at the time was to be at the forefront of new technologies when it comes to green technologies, active travel, and I do see there was an autonomous bus service that was part of the project list as well, which was quite successful but not yet possible to run in real life given legislation and so on. And so I think these projects are exactly the right kind of things to be supporting, and I'm very pleased to see this appendix with the state of the projects and updates on all of them. That's really good to see, and very much support continuing with all of this and anything we can do to accelerate it.
Yeah, I was offered several trips on the autonomous bus and pass. But I'm sure it was fine.
Fixed at 50 miles an hour.
It was between the railway station and Milton Park, which is a trip I did quite often. Councillor Heritage, and then I'll ask Councillor Morgan to sum up.
Thank you. I only wanted to make a brief comment since I'm not with you in person today, but I just really wanted to reiterate that I think the direction is focused and it's relevant to the current stage of the project. Excellent engagement with the voices and stakeholders of Didcot. And as others have commented, especially pleased to see the focus on green spaces for the well-being of residents, because as we know, this green space does have a big impact on mental and physical health. And despite the questionable terminology, it puts the garden into Garden Town. So I just wanted to comment that I'm pleased to support this. Thank you.
And we'd like to wind up.
Yes, thanks, David. First of all, I'd like to express my thanks to Charlotte, Nikki, Jane and Phil for all the work they have done and all the work they continue to do on this project. So thank you very much for that. Didcot's a better place because you're helping doing this. Looking at the community insights profile, Didcot's younger, it's more employed, it's got more families, it's got more people renting, and it's still growing than the rest of SODC. It grew 35% between 2011 and 2021. It's predominantly white still, but it's more ethnically mixed than the rest of SODC. Ladygrove is healthier and tops the lists of healthier places to live around here, but South and West are less so. And they have areas of child poverty. And overall, Didcot has fewer students in higher education. To address some of the points raised here, it was mentioned Didcot First membership is now part of the board, but we also mentioned at the advisory board earlier in the week that there are many businesses who are not member of any specific business organisations, and we need to make certain we try and reach out to those who are not aligned to anything as well, and that was noted. Yes, I will raise the apprenticeship, look at the apprenticeship issues and make certain they're looked after. Yes, we note that the objectives need to be smarter, and that will hopefully be reflected. And as Councillor Ruane said, the green space map, there are more in the newer parts, and there's much less in the areas of South Didcot. But most of those areas are less than a couple of 100 yards away from a lot of green space. So just encouraging people to use the areas around Didcot that are not very far away. So just like to finish by saying the Insight report shows that we need health improvements, wellbeing improvements, and personal improvements. That's what we're trying to do, but that need isn't going to go away. So whatever we do as a council for the remainder of our time and whatever the unitary does, that need will still be there. And we need to have a programme that runs through the tape of this council and on to the next one to make certain that need is met in the future. And part of what we need to do as we wind ourselves down as a council to whatever the new council may be, is make certain that needs identified, the way that we can address that need is identified so that the new unitary can pick that up and run with it. So thank you for the support on this.
So one thing about the Healthy Didcot thing, I did an interview recently where somebody said, you know, why do you have so many fast food places in Didcot, as if this was a planning issue? And I said, yeah, we live in a free market. The reason why we have fast food places is that people choose to go and shop there. And so it's about information, education, and encouraging people to adopt healthier lifestyles. It's not something we can impose on people. It's something we need to bring people along. Can I move on to the recommendations? So recommendations are that we approve the amended terms of reference for the board, that we note the Insight profile, that we approve the draft Healthy Didcot report action plan, and that we note the programme progress to date and approve the changes to the programme. Can I see those in favour of that? Everyone in the room? Thank you. And with that, I think that's the end of the meeting.
Thank you. Susie, please can you run the broadcast?
Thank you all.
Good day.
I think that's your first.
It's the first in person, yes.
Susie, are we offline?
Oh, sorry.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your help tonight, Susie.